That's because the truth is too simple. The fence is too simple. When I show the fence on seminars, people are scratching their head and saying, when are we going to do the exciting stuff? And I can do that all day long. I've got 27 tapes out on different techniques, but it's support system. And that is important, but this is not as important as this. When a guy comes up to you outside the chip shop and you're with your missus, or at the club, or wherever, you need protection. This is the protection. This is your power. It's no good having loads of... This is your control, sorry. It's no good having loads of powerful techniques, being able to kick the bag and be great and inspiring if you haven't got this control. And this control is no good if you don't see a situation develop. You can't control something that you don't see. So I can't state enough how important this is. This is more important than anything else I'll give you. And if I could only teach you one thing, this is what I would teach you. And again, it's very conceptually it's simple. When you try and do it, it's not so simple. I've done it in a lot of the books. It doesn't really come across too well in the books because it needs to be visual, and that's why I've decided to do a tape completely on it. The reason I got flown out to America by Chuck Norris and Richard Norton was specifically to see the fence. And that was because Richard Norton spent 20 years bodyguarding and working indoors and working with real violence. And all they wanted to see was the fence. Okay, so it's really important. And anybody that's been there will know it's important. But I'm overemphasising the point, but I don't want you to overlook this and think it's, there's nothing there. This is the control you need in a real situation. When a real situation starts, it's probably going to be from 18 inches. And that 18 inches will degenerate very quickly into in-your-face violence. Okay, it goes very quickly to vertical grappling, ground grappling. That's not where we want to be. Grappling is not where we want to be. If we do go down there, we deal with it, but we want to avoid it at all costs. Several people I know have been killed on the floor, had their heads kicked off or been stabbed when they've been grappling, and they're tearing the bloke a new arse, but it doesn't stop his mates kicking your head in, who suddenly appear from the bar or suddenly appear out of the hedge. Two of my friends got stabbed by women when they were fighting with men on the floor. So we don't really want to be down there unless we have to. So what I'm going to do with this fence is I'm going to control the gap between me and the person in front of me. Okay, to stop it degenerating to vertical grappling, because I don't want to be there. And again, just to reiterate, you can't use the fence if you're not switched on, if you're not switched on to the environment. Again, if I'm walking down the street, I want to be in code yellow, and code yellow is an awareness state. If you imagine putting your seatbelt on in the car, that's code yellow. That's being aware that there's a possibility that you might have a crash. It's not being paranoid about crashing, it's being aware. This is exactly the same. The fence is an environmental seatbelt. The awareness is an environmental seatbelt. So if I see a situation develop, I want to catch it maybe 3 to 5 seconds before it starts. In some situations, when I'm working the clubs, I'll see situations an hour before they start. That allows me to go in and be proactive and neutralise it. First of all, if I do see a situation, I want to avoid it. Avoidance is normally not being there. If I am there and I see a situation develop, my awareness will allow me to escape. But my ego might try and stop me. My ego might drag me back in, kicking and screaming. So I'm not going to allow that to happen either. I'm going to be big enough, confident enough to walk away and not get into a physical encounter. People die in physical encounters. People go to jail in physical encounters. They're life-changing things. So I'm going to escape if I can. If a situation gets on top and I can't escape, then I'm going to put my phone straight up, talking hands, and I'm going to use verbal dissuasion and talk the situation down. As a skilled person in the street, as an experienced person in the street, without wanting to sound pretentious, I will also try loopholing techniques and posturing. Loopholing is when you give people an honourable alternative to fighting, whatever that might be, and posturing is when you switch on and psych them out, which we'll look at that later. But if you're not sure, just put a fence up and control the range. We're going to go into that in detail now in this tape and try and cover all the different kinds of fences, how to trigger off the fence, brain engagement, and some of the fences used by some of my friends when I worked on the door, about 5 or 6 different variations. So you can look at the different ways of using the fence and tailor it to yourself. Because what I don't want to do is get people to be cloned and doing like a Geoff Thompson fence. Because we're all very different. Your fence should be different from mine. My fence will be different from Justin's, his will be different from Jed's. Okay, so we've got to tailor it to fit us. We shouldn't all look the same. We should all look a little bit different because we are. So I hope you enjoyed the tape. But if you could please remember, always avoid, escape, talk down, loophole if you can, posh if you can. Don't be physical unless you really have to be physical, because it really isn't the answer. If you have to be physical, be first and be ferocious. Take them off the planet. But if you can avoid it, then you really must. What I'll do then, I'll bring Justin in. We'll start working on the fence, practically. Okay. What I'm doing, as soon as the situation develops, as soon as it comes in, I'm putting my fence up straight away. Lead hand, controlling, reverse hand for attack. Okay. I can work this way. I can work this way. I can work this way if I'm in close. I can work this way. The important thing is that I'm controlling this gap. That's the most important thing. This gap needs to be controlled. Okay. At the same time, my left hand is controlling his right hand, so he's got no thoroughfare for this. My right hand's controlling his left hand, so there's no thoroughfare for that. So what I'm doing is what Rick Young would call proactive trapping. I'm trapping before he moves. So I'm not giving him a chance to attack. I might even be tactile if I'm talking, depending on the circumstances. But what I'm doing all the time is I'm keeping this gap closed, I'm controlling this attacking arm, so there's no thoroughfare. This attacking arm, I'm controlling his forward movement. He can't move forward and headbutt me or knee me. He can't kick me, because as soon as he moves I'll just lock this off. Although it looks very empty, it's very solid and very full. Okay? It's what we call putting a fence around your factory. If you want to stop burglars getting into your factory, put a big fuck off fence around it. It won't stop them forever, but it will make them think. And they're most likely to go to a factory where there's no fence, because it's easy to get round. So this is the fence around my factory. Now, even with people I teach this to, I watch them in situations, in real situations, when I watch them working the doors, or in violent situations that are developing. And even with some of the people I train, they still tend to be very much here, and then here, and then here, and then here. Or even sometimes allow themselves to get into a staring match like this, which is not what we want. A fence needs to be permanent. There needs to be some permanent fence all the time, either one hand or the other. Okay, what I tend to do is move my hands around a little bit and control. Okay, rather than rather than just up and down, which means this, you can actually close the gap, which I don't want that at all. And I definitely don't want to get pulled into a staring match. What you find happens when you get adrenaline, which you're going to get straight away in a violent situation, is you lose a lot of, a lot of things you're supposed to train for, you lose. And you get a skilled person who's trained with this will suddenly be like this, and they'll suddenly go into the normal fight or flight, the posturing motions. Again, you have to really think about a situation and make sure you get this control. This is the most important thing. From here, I'm controlling the person in front of me. This is a subconscious physical fence. It means I'm controlling him on a subconscious level. He doesn't know he's being controlled. That's important, because if he thinks he's being controlled, then we've got a contention, we've got a power play. If he thinks he's being controlled, he'll fight for control. So I'm very happy to let him feel he's in control. Somewhere deep in his mind, on a very subliminal level, he will know he's being controlled. It will unnerve him, but he won't know on a conscious level. So there'll be something inside his head saying, this guy knows what he's doing, and it will hopefully make him pull away. But at the moment I'm keeping it very subconscious, I'm controlling. I'm also controlling centre line, because our centre lines are matched. And what you find with people is they tend to line up their centre line with you when they want to attack. Sometimes part of the posturing they'll off-centre themselves, but they'll always turn back in centre line to attack. So I'm going to control the centre line. All his balance is here. Just by stepping across as I talk, I'm off-centering him. His centre line is off balance. Okay, so when I whack him or I push him now, he's very off balance. He's also going to feel off balance again on the subconscious level. Also, when I off-centre, I'm opening the target up from here to here. So where I've got a small target, I'm opening him up to a big target. Because realistically, my only target from here is his chin. I don't want to beat him in the teeth, because that'll put me in hospital, like he did before. I don't want to hit him on the nose, because I'm not guaranteed to stop him. I definitely don't want to hit him in the eyes. I want to hit him somewhere clinical, which is going to be on the jawline. Anywhere from here to the ear, along the jawline, is what I'm looking to hit. So I'm aiming to get bone-to-bone contact on the jaw.